The Danger Zone, brought to you by the International Deli Association. Meet Alice, age 23. Occupation, new deli sales recruit. Until today, Alice's training process has been like any other. Demonstrations, manuals, and an occasional video. Today, things are going to change. Alice doesn't know it, but she's about to take a journey. A journey that will teach her that keeping a clean, sanitary deli is her #1 responsibility to her customers. And when she returns, she'll do everything she can to keep her deli out of the danger zone. You open this door to delis in another dimension of time, of temperatures, of perishable food. A place where lack of sanitation can lead to poor quality or unsafe food, lost products, and lost business. You've now crossed into the danger zone.
Hi, I'm Kathy. Are you the new employee?
Yes, I am. My name is Alice.
Alice. I've always liked that name. Ever since my mother read that book to me. You know, The Tea Party, The Cheshire Cat and all. Speaking of good books, how about this manual? Have you read the chapter on deli sanitation?
I've skimmed over sanitation and food safety. I know pretty much all I need to know.
Skim, did we? That's nice. Well, there's a lot of information in here. Our customers are important to us, and we must handle their food safely. In fact, I read somewhere here that our customers rate cleanliness, freshness, and safe quality food as the major reasons they shop the delis they do. We really need to be on our toes so they don't take their business down the street. Ever heard of cross-contamination, rotation, improper holding temperatures? They all affect the food we sell, and so does this thing called the danger zone.
The danger zone?
Doesn't that sound important to you?
Well, yes, but I figure if something looks good enough to eat, then it is. I'd never intentionally hurt anyone.
None of us would. Listen, Alice, I'm late for a meeting with the boss. I've got to run. Watch this tape, and then see if you don't want to skim a little bit more.
The danger zone. I wonder if it's really such a big deal. Can't get this one at the video store. You startled me.
Alice, I've heard about your, well, carefree attitude toward food handling.
How do you know my name? Have we met?
Call me Casper. I'm with the training staff.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Casper.
Likewise. Alice, if we don't present safe and appetizing food in our deli, then there could be nightmarish results. Who wants to risk losing product to spoilage or losing customers because our deli's lost that specialty look? Or who wants to tempt the worst danger of all, food contamination?
Oh, gee, I never thought I had that much to do with all that, Mr.
Clarence.
I thought you said Casper.
Well, yeah, Clarence Casper. Yeah, that's it. I'd like to give you some more things to think about. Oh, come with me. Now, Alice, the delis you'll visit exist only in your imagination. The workers that you see are busy prepping for a hectic Friday. Now, you'll notice some of them are following regulations to the letter, while others are making careless mistakes. Now, your assignment, Alice, is to figure out who's doing it right and who isn't. As we talk about deli do's and don'ts, ask yourself, what would make me a dissatisfied customer?
That's the girl from, her name is Kathy.
Ah, very good. You'll be seeing her again. She works for me.
Alice, Marley.
Marley, I thought you said your name was
Just a nickname, my middle name, actually. Alice, what do you think are the food qualities deli customers look for?
Well, I suppose food that's safe to eat, looks good and tastes good.
Very good. She may be a quick study. But add to those foods that are appealing, packaged properly, and foods that are attractively merchandised. But there's one thing that will always play havoc with food quality in a deli: microorganisms. And they're everywhere. In this deli, on you and me.
Looks clean to me.
Well, that may be. But too many employees think that because something looks clean, it always is clean. You can't see microorganisms like bacteria and viruses. They're too small.
Now, not all of them are bad. Some are beneficial, like those in sausages, cheese, and yogurt. But the bad ones can cause food to spoil, and a small percentage of microorganisms are downright dangerous.
Do you know what the term foodborne illness means?
It's when people get sick from food.
That's been contaminated by bacteria, chemicals, or poisons. Are you aware of all the ways in which food can be contaminated in a deli department?
I guess not.
A lot of ways. For instance, improper holding of hot foods, inadequate chilling and reheating, contaminated equipment, cross-contamination, poor personal hygiene, food from unsafe sources, not monitoring shelf life. Like I said, a lot of ways.
Just remember, you can prevent foodborne illnesses. They generally occur because of mishandling or disregard for temperatures, especially temperatures in the danger zone.
What exactly is the danger zone?
The danger zone is the dangerous temperature range between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. If food is held in this temperature range for very long, dangerous food microorganisms can multiply, and quickly.
Remember, temperature controls bacterial growth. Bacteria grow slowly or not at all at temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit and are killed above 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow, I had no idea.
Keeping products out of the danger zone begins by controlling freezer and cooler inventories. It's one of the first quality control checkpoints for our food. Alice, here comes a delivery. Let's watch and see how Kathy handles it.
Where would you like these, ma'am?
Right here. May I see the invoice, please?
You betcha.
So far, so good.
When you're checking in products, always do a visual inspection of the food.
What does that include?
Make sure the product looks good and has no off odors. If the product is packaged, make sure it's intact. And, very important, be sure to take a temperature check to make sure the product has been delivered at the proper temperature. If the food doesn't pass your quality inspection here, don't accept it and notify your manager. How would you rate their storage system?
It's orderly. The raw product is stored in a separate area from the cooked products from the vegetables.
Why is that important to people who buy our deli food?
I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't want the juices from raw meats dripping into my potato salad. Ugh.
I'm with you. When one product contaminates another with potentially hazardous bacteria, it's called cross-contamination. But more about that later. Continue.
And these are stacked neatly.
Wait. Regulation says stock must be 6 inches off the floor. It protects food from vermin, insects, flooding, and dirt.
And from food that may be spoiling on the floor, like this lettuce.
Good eyes! Always clean up spills as they occur. In fact, it's best to clean up as you go along. That way your deli will look clean and bright and never messy. The customer's watching, you know. Check that thermometer reading, Alice.
It says 37 degrees Fahrenheit.
Perfect. Cooler temperature should be at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below to keep foods fresh. Just for curiosity, check the code date on those boxes of processed hams. Now check the box behind.
The earlier expiration date is in the back.
Does that make sense?
Wouldn't it be better to put the last received products in the back?
You're catching on. We call that FIFO.
Fido? Like the dog?
No, FIFO. First in, first out. It's a stock rotation method. The first products in should be the first products pulled out. Controlling that inventory ensures us fresh product, and it also makes ordering easier and more accurate. And this helps eliminate overbuying of products, which can lead to throwing away of out-of-date products, and that can mean profits down the drain.
Why should I care about deli profits? I'm not the owner.
True, but if deli profits disappear, your job might too. And sanitation doesn't just protect customers, it protects you too. And what about pride for working in a top-notch deli and for pleasing your boss?
Yeah, you're right.
Now let's stop for a minute and review some of the points uncovered on proper receiving and storage. Review the shipping invoice. Visibly check products. Check the temperature of products. Store in a clean storage area. Keep raw and cooked products separated. Rotate stock accurately, and monitor shelf life.
How do I know what the shelf life of a product is?
Your sales rep or distributor can give you this information. Ask them for the date the product was made and the sell-by date. By subtracting one from the other, you can determine the shelf life.
Good deli starts here, doesn't it?
Well, yes, but the quality and safety of products also depends on where the products are purchased. Buyers should only purchase food from government-approved and inspected sources.
Has there ever been a foodborne outbreak in this deli?
Not here, but across town. Last month there was a devastating incident. About 50 customers got sick from some food that wasn't cooled properly.
Made its way into the danger zone, huh?
It's not a laughing matter. They had some astronomical medical bills to pay. Sales plummeted.
No one died, I hope.
No, but their business did. Get the idea how serious food safety can be?
Yeah, I do. Lose your reputation and you lose your customers.
I couldn't have said it better. And you know, Alice, that incident could have been prevented. Almost every foodborne incident is preventable. In this case, it was not knowing how to hold and properly chill hot foods for storage.
What's there to know other than cook it, keep it warm, and cool it down in the kitchen before you put it in the cooler?
First of all, you never cool down any hot foods at room temperature. You refrigerate them immediately. And there's cooking, reheating. I can see we're going to need to spend some time here. Repeat after me. Time and temperature.
Time and temperature.
They're the two most critical things to remember when you're preparing and displaying food. By controlling time and temperature, you can control unwanted microorganisms and give the customer the product they expect. Now let's move to another deli that has a hot food presentation. May I have the honor of escorting you? Now, as more and more delis either begin new or expand their existing hot food programs, it's important to know how to keep food safe. Before you can hold hot foods hot, what do you have to do to them, Alice?
Cook them thoroughly.
Right. Now, hot food should ideally be cooked from their frozen state. This not only reduces the handling of the food, but it helps maintain shelf life. To determine how long and to what temperature the product needs to be cooked, refer to the guidelines given by your supplier or refer to your manual. Now, what's wrong with this checklist? I can give you a hint. Look under the entry made for the stuffed pork chops.
Oh, okay. The temperature reading says 145 degrees. Shouldn't the pork have been cooked to a higher temperature?
Yes. Never partially cook something and expect a warming table to finish cooking it. That's asking for trouble.
Now, would it also be wrong to partially cook something ahead of time, store it, and then finish cooking it closer to when you need it?
Sounds like a good idea, but it's extremely dangerous. Warming the food like that would give bacteria a perfect opportunity in which to multiply. And when some types of bacteria have the time to grow, they may produce a toxin or poison that can cause illness. Heating the product above 140 degrees Fahrenheit may not kill the toxin present in that food. Now, as I recall my working days in a deli, there were a couple of other things that I learned about cooking that I'd like to pass on to you.
Oh, like what?
Don't overload the cooking unit. Too much product may cause improper cooking. Follow your equipment guidelines. Don't cook all the product at the same time. Stagger cooking times to keep fresh product coming to the counter. Check the accuracy of your cooking equipment approximately every 90 days. And finally, check the food's temperature with a clean thermometer before you move it to the steam table or rotisserie oven, and take the temperature in several areas of the product. When it comes to checking for doneness of poultry, it's kind of tricky since individual pieces can cook at various speeds. To make sure chicken is cooked properly, always check the temperature using thigh meat. For the most accurate reading, insert the thermometer alongside the thigh bone.
How do you know when something's safely cooked?
Refer to your manufacturer's guidelines or your manual for the minimum internal cook temperature requirements. Never trust your own judgment.
Like assuming something's done if it's too hot to touch?
That's the best way I know of to lose your customers' faith in you. Don't guess when their well-being is at stake.
Ooh, excuse me, but the lady over there is starting to dice cooked vegetables on the same surface she just used for cutting the raw chicken. I do know that's wrong.
Hey, you're catching on, kiddo. Okay, Sally. Good work. She caught you red-handed committing cross-contamination. Sally could have transferred potentially harmful bacteria from one food to another. Also, remember to always clean and sanitize your cutting boards, equipment, and utensils between every use. This further reduces risk of contamination. Now, when you place cooked foods in a hot holding case or a steam table, what is the critical temperature at which they should be held?
140 degrees Fahrenheit or above.
Right. Temperatures should be checked at least every 2 hours. If any product falls below 140 degrees Fahrenheit, take it out of the display, reheat it at once to 165 degrees Fahrenheit, then put it back out on display. Customers demand fresh products from their deli, so don't cheat them out of that expectation by reheating food more than once. And remember, they eat with their eyes, so change your entrees as need be to prevent them from looking dried out or from getting crusty. Occasional stirring may help keep some foods looking their freshest.
You know, couldn't Kathy save some cooler space by putting that soup into one deep pan?
I could save space, but it wouldn't cool the soup down below 40 degrees Fahrenheit rapidly enough. We've got to zip past the danger zone, even if it means breaking large quantities into smaller ones, like this. The height of the pan should be less than 4 inches, and the depth of the product, or soup in this case, should be less than 3 inches. In the cooler, pans should never be stacked, and lids shouldn't block air circulation.
Now, what were the 4 most important things you learned about handling hot foods?
Cook foods to a safe degree of doneness. Hold hot foods above 140 degrees Fahrenheit. When chilling, rapidly cool cooked foods to below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Reheat foods to 165 degrees Fahrenheit.
Bingo!
Whew. After all that on hot foods, cold food handling must really be a snap.
Whoa, hold on. There are special sanitation considerations for cold foods as well. To learn more about them, we'll use the old hands-on method. Or should I say the old hands-in-gloves-on method. Just an attempt at humor, my dear, not my forte. But before we begin, Alice, we need to have a talk about personal hygiene.
Are you trying to tell me something?
Not at all. Well, not exactly.
What do you mean, not exactly?
Did you bring a hairnet for work?
Get out of here. Nobody wears a hairnet.
They're not just for grandmas, Alice. When you're working with food that's going to the public, you want to make it as safe as possible. A person loses around 80 hairs a day, and it only takes one to make an unhappy customer. I just happen to have an extra.
Why am I not surprised?
Okay, Alice. What's wrong with this picture?
Oh, lose the cigarette. That's an easy one.
Right. Smoking is an absolute no-no. Smokers are constantly touching their mouths with their fingers. Mouths are filled with bacteria.
Her apron is a mess.
Off with that soiled garment. Soiled clothes are another source of bacteria.
The money, I mean, how clean it is or isn't. She handles the money and then immediately serves food.
Consumers perceive money to be dirty. Therefore, it would be best for one person to serve the customer and another to handle money.
That still doesn't excuse servers from using gloves.
Or washing hands. Hands carry an incredible amount of germs and bacteria. They come in contact with so many bodily areas that are unsanitary, like mouth, hair, scalp, or eyes. Always wash with soap and warm water, lathering for 20 seconds, and dry with a disposable towel. When do you think is the best time for deli employees to wash their hands?
Well, definitely before they start work and after they've been to the restroom and
Between handling raw and cooked foods.
and after an employee has been eating or drinking.
After emptying the garbage, after using a handkerchief or sneezing. And for goodness sake, stay home if you're ill. Now, let's move forward. Think you're ready for the cold deli food test?
Well, I'm not really properly attired for the occasion.
A pair in your size, I think we can handle that. Hold on to your hairnet. We're off. Let's begin by having you serve some customers. Checklist. Clean apron,
Check.
clean hands,
Check.
gloves on,
Check.
hairnet,
Check.
you're on.
Hi, how can I help you?
I'd like a pound of medium sliced ham, please.
Okay, coming right up.
Did you notice how cold that ham feels? Your customers will notice it too, and that'll leave them with a good impression of this deli. Keep cold foods cold, Alice. Maintain their temperature at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or lower for them to be safe and fresh.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, what can I get for you today?
I'd like a half pound of American cheese, thick slices, please.
Sure.
Stop, Alice. I can't let you do that. You were just about to commit cross-contamination. Cheese and meat should not be sliced on the same slicer.
Well, why?
Because cheese is a living product. Its bacteria causes it to further develop and age. If this bacteria is transferred from the slicer to the meats, then the meats can develop off flavors, and it can reduce their shelf life. Also, that man didn't order ham, he ordered cheese. It's very unappetizing to order a product and find juices or traces of another product on the product you're buying. And if he would have noticed this at home, he probably wouldn't have called to complain. Most people don't. But he probably would have taken his business elsewhere next time. Go ahead, finish the order, Alice.
Thank you, and come back soon. Keeping his business is my business.
Keeping your slicer clean is your business, too. Always clean and sanitize between uses.
How?
Wipe your slicer with a sanitized cloth, one that's disposable or one that's been stored in a clean, sanitizing solution. Remember, bacteria and germs can multiply on cloths or sponges. For a more thorough cleaning of your slicer utensils and equipment, use a 3-step process. Wash with a detergent and hot water, rinse with clean water, sanitize with hot water or a sanitizing solution.
How do I know how frequently to clean?
Check with your manager and follow your manual. When you're using cleaning chemicals, always read and follow the label directions carefully and accurately. If they're used for the wrong purpose or in excessive amounts, they can cause illness and sometimes death. And be sure to store them properly labeled and away from food preparation and storage areas and food contact surfaces. You can't be too careful with chemicals. Now, when you reach for the cheese to slice, you didn't remember FIFO.
First in, first out.
That applies to all products. Processed meats, cheeses, salads, entrees, and sandwiches. Now, we all know customers are more likely to buy from a display that's clean, full, and fresh. Here comes Rob. Watch how he's going to replenish that potato salad. He has a number of options. He can take what's remaining and either put it in a small merchandising pan and put it back out on display, or he can cup it and sell it in individual servings from the self-service case. The one thing you should never do is add the potato salad that's been on display with new potato salad from the cooler. Now, I'm not saying that both products aren't safe to eat. if their temperature has been maintained at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. It's just that the shelf life of the display product is shorter than the new product. Now that's because it's been exposed to things like light, air, and moisture. To fill the display, Rob first takes a clean, cold crock, fills it with potato salad, puts it in the display case, and checks the temperature of the product. Notice, he's checking the temperatures of the other salads in the case and noting the time and temperature on his monitor checklist.
And salad temperatures should be checked?
At least every 2 hours, just like hot-held products.
What does he do if he finds a salad above 40 degrees Fahrenheit?
If it's one salad, he removes it from the case and takes it back to the refrigerator to rapidly chill it down below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, or he discards it. If he notices that a number of his salads are too warm, he should notify his manager. The case temperature may have to be adjusted. Since all display cases are not alike, be sure to follow the manufacturer's guidelines for temperature control. Just remember, keep cold foods cold, and that means keep them 40 degrees Fahrenheit or colder.
When they are taken off display, should they be cooled in shallow pans too?
Yes, follow the same guidelines for chilling as we talked about earlier. And talk about chilled, one area that we haven't covered yet that's big and getting bigger is chilled foods, or ready-to-heat prepared foods. Let's check them out.
Wow, talk about razzle-dazzle. And look at this selection.
You know, Alice, many deli products are purchased impulsively by our shoppers, so let's do everything we can to make sure our products speak out.
Look how the glass sparkles. Not a fingerprint on the outside or a food splatter on the inside.
They're sure practicing
the clean-up as you go method. And look how they portioned the lasagna to show the layers.
Creates more buying interest for the customer. Here comes one now. Let's watch this sale.
Good afternoon. What would you like to take home for dinner tonight?
Everything looks good. How about 4 of your egg rolls?
Okay.
Stop her, Clarence. Shouldn't she be using tongs? I sure would be dissatisfied if someone served me with their fingers.
Yep, you're quite right. Never touch refrigerated food with your bare hands. Always serve food with tongs, spatulas, or ladles, and wear gloves. Germs love to hitchhike on hands.
If we don't eat these egg rolls tonight, how long will they stay fresh?
You should have at least 2 more days for serving them, provided you refrigerate them immediately when you get home.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How did she know that?
Display containers should always be marked with the date that the item was put out on display, as well as the sell-by date. And telling customers to immediately refrigerate the food when they take it home is a good point, too. A lot of food abuse can happen at home. Now, some of these entrees were received frozen, and some are fresh, prepared by chefs. Kathy, tell us a couple of safe food handling procedures for refrigerated foods.
Keep cold foods cold. Maintain their temperature at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or lower for them to be safe and fresh. Next, if a product is frozen, thaw it or temper it gradually in a cooler at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or less for about 2 days. Never thaw at room temperature on the counter. Never touch foods with your bare hands during preparation or when you're putting them on display. When you're setting up your display, never mix fresh product with product already on display. And never sell a product for at-home consumption after the sell-by date.
You know more than you think you do, Alice. And safe handling of cold and hot foods can be a snap if you think first before you do.
You know, it's all really starting to sink in. I mean, it's my responsibility to keep my food safe and my department clean.
You lose a customer's trust by neglecting safety and cleanliness, and you're in a real danger zone. The danger of losing their business. I think this has been time well spent.
Speaking of time, I've really got to run. I'm on shift in 8 minutes.
All right, but we have one last formality to take care of. I'd like to present you with this certificate in recognition of passing the test. On it are the 10 extremely important rules of running a safe, clean, and successful deli. Recite them in a convincing manner, and this deli could magically become yours to make a difference.
Keep deli food out of the danger zone, 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Foodborne illness can be prevented. First in, first out. Avoid cross-contamination. Clean up as you go along. Don't prepare or serve food with bare hands. Properly monitor product shelf life. Clean and sanitize equipment and utensils. Make good personal hygiene a top priority. Remember, the customer is watching. Make sanitation be your most powerful merchandising tool. Ta-da! Not bad, huh?
Excuse me, miss, but can I have a half pound of your dill dip, please?
Certainly. Becky, could you please get a half pound of dill dip for this gentleman while I ring him up?
Okay, but
From now on, one of us ought to take money and the other should wait on customers.
why?
Oh, it's a long story. You just gotta hear. Okay, half pound of dill dip. That'll be $3.10, please. Out of 4?